It's Lily's birthday, and Leah offered to treat her to a spa day. They arrived at the marvelous Pink Lotus Boutique Spa for their day of treatment and were sent to different rooms. One of the women received a text on their phone saying, "Be careful. Take a look at the image. Can you tell which friend is in danger?" It's Lily. The drink on that waiter's tray is definitely poisoned. She should get out of that place as fast as she can. Hello. Jonah woke up in a different timeline. Normally, he was a straight A student, but in this reality, he was a pretty bad student. His teacher put him in detention to see if his grades would get any better. During detention time, he had to solve some puzzles. For each puzzle he solved, he got points that would help him raise his grade. His first task was to find the difference between both images. He only had a few seconds, though. Can you help? Yep, that one on the right didn't have the scribble on the paper. For his next detention challenge, Jonah had to spot the difference between these two rabbits riding a motorcycle. Don't ask too many questions, just help him out. Yep, it was the helmet all along. Dana is a swimming champion preparing for her competition on Monday. 24 hours before the big day, she disappears. Nobody can find her. Her mother calls the police and asks them to investigate the crime, and they come up with 3 suspects. All of them are swimmers. Hannah says she hasn't spoken to Dana since their last practice. Ashley explains that she invited Dana for lunch on Saturday, but Dana refused because she was getting her hair done for the competition. And Melanie says that she spoke to Dana the night before. Dana told her that she was feeling anxious before the race. One of the swimmers is lying. Who is it? I mean, it's definitely Ashley. It doesn't make sense for a swimmer to get her hair done before a swimming match. It will get wet anyways. Daniel is a sailor on a large cruise ship. One day the captain asked him to go to the ship's lowest deck and get some supplies. But as the man was walking down the ladder, it broke and he fell down. Try as he might, he couldn't get out. And oh no! The situation was worse than he thought. There was a hole on the ship's hulk, and water was starting to fill the lower decks. Take a look around. Is there anything Daniel can do to save himself? Yep, he could put on a life jacket and wait for the water to fill the lower deck. He will simply float upwards, and then he can climb up those stairs again. I mean, if that ship doesn't go all Titanic, right?
Yeah!
Amelie was exploring her grandmother's closet when she came across something spectacular. A time machine. She set the date back to the 16th century and pressed go. She spent the day exploring a local market, but people kept looking at her differently. One man came up to her and said he knew she was a time traveler. He locked her in his basement and said he was going to look for where she hid the time machine. Amelie was so frustrated she got caught and was afraid she might never go back to her real life. That's when she saw that the basement had an old piano. Do you have any clue how Amelie can use that piano to escape? That's a tricky one, but she should play it until she finds the right key. You decided you needed to go on an adventure, so you packed your backpack and went hiking the Appalachian Trail. The thing is, since this was your first hike ever, you planned poorly. Your water only lasted for a day, and you needed a refill. There are 4 sources of water before you: a pond, a lake, a juicy cactus, and a stream. Which one should you drink water from? Most cacti are toxic, so you should keep away from them. The waters from the pond and the lake are stagnant water, so this means they could be filled with stuff that isn't good for you. So that leaves the stream water. Way to go, you. Oh, yeah. It's getting rather late, and you realize you're lost in the middle of the forest. Your phone's GPS is not working, and you're standing at a fork in the road. You can choose between 4 roads leading north, south, west, or east. The path that heads north will lead you to a black hole. The road that leads south goes through a lake full of huge whale sharks. The one that leads east passes through a crater-sized hole. And the one that leads west will take you to a sky-high mountain that is impossible to climb over. Which way will you choose? You should head south. Whale sharks pose no threat to people, and it's probably not true that they exist inside that lake. I mean, they are sea creatures. Harry has spent the last 2 weeks in Egypt exploring ancient pyramids. He's an archaeologist, and he was looking for some groundbreaking discoveries on the history of the mummies. Inside one of the pyramids, he found a secret chamber. Written on this chamber's walls was this: if one can answer correctly, an ancient secret will be revealed. And right below this, Harry found a riddle. The next answer that should escape your lips should be the creature wrapped up in cloth strips. Can you guess what Harry should answer? Mummy! He should simply say the word mummy. Tom escaped from prison by digging a long tunnel in the floor of his cell. He had been crawling through the underground tunnel for 3 hours when he saw that the main tunnel was divided into 3 smaller ones. The first tunnel was on fire. The second tunnel was home to a nest of venomous snakes, and the third tunnel was filled with explosives. Which tunnel should Tom take to continue his prison break? He should choose the tunnel with fire. He can put the fire out with the dust from the ground and make his way to freedom.
Yeah!
Sierra wanted to go to her favorite band's concert, but she didn't have enough money to buy the tickets. Her local radio station was putting on a contest, and the winner would get tickets to the show. All she had to do was answer their riddle correctly. She called the radio station, and they asked her, "Every night I'm told what to do, and each morning I do what I'm told. But I still can't escape your scold. What am I?" Sierra won the tickets. Can you guess what she answered? The correct answer is an alarm clock. It sounds just about right, doesn't it? Amy woke up on an estranged island. She looked everywhere for something that could help her escape and found nothing. In the following days, she continued to look for something that could give her some direction, and came across 3 torn pieces of paper that could be joined to make one. She put everything together and managed to escape the island by water, using no other resources than the things she found. Can you figure out how she managed to do that? This one is tricky. Nothing was the name of the boat she found abandoned on the island.
Ooh.
Then she found torn pieces of paper that together made up a map. The map helped to guide her to the nearest inhabited island, and the boat helped her get out by water.
Yes!
Mirabelle walked into her father's deli and asked for a sandwich to go. When she looked to her right, she noticed something extremely out of the ordinary. Take a look at this image. Can you tell what it was? A turtle is hiding under the counter. This sure isn't normal.
Hey, my talented Brightside detectives! Today I have something exciting for you. It'll let your brain do a little workout and have fun at the same time. Let's start, shall we?
Yeah.
Look at this picture very attentively. Can you spot a fake princess? There's a price tag on this princess's tiara, so this girl is most likely not a member of the royalty. There are a lot of delicious products in this picture, but you'll never be able to cheer one of them up. Which one is it? A blueberry, because it's always blue. The next task is pretty tricky. You need to connect all the dots with just 4 straight lines. Let's see how you deal with this challenge. That's how you do it. Easy peasy. Just kidding, I actually failed this task. Now, can you make 4 out of these 3 sticks without breaking them? Yeah, you can. That's how it can be done. This is what I call creative thinking. Can you figure out what's wrong with this picture? This dice is all wrong. It has 7 dots on one of its sides, but it's impossible. The largest number of dots is 6. Look at this image. What word do you see there? A pot, the @ sign, aka aspirand, and a toe. Right, that's potato. The next one, a surfer and a spider web. What could it mean? If you figured out that this puzzle means surf the web, you're very smart. The next tricky riddle for you. You need to guess the brand hidden here. Look at the image attentively. Every small detail counts. The brand hiding here is Pringles. See? P-ring-goals. Clever, huh? The next task for you. Guess the food hidden in this puzzle. A small hint, you can grow this product. Cauliflower. That must be cauliflower. Look at these emojis and guess the word. It's colorful and often appears after the rain. Yep, we're talking about a rainbow here. Okay, now look at this t-shirt and try to count how many holes it has. Keep in mind that this riddle may be a bit trickier than you think. I hope you didn't only count those nasty ripped holes, because those aren't the only ones this t-shirt has. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those holes are indeed ripped, and 8. Did you get it right? Another tricky puzzle for you. How many watermelons are here? There are 5 watermelons. Look how it works. Nice, right? It's time to put your attention skills to the test. Can you find the odd unicorn here? It's this one. The orange patch of its mane is missing stars. Look at these guys. Can you figure out who's living alone? The man on the right has 2 toothbrushes, so he's probably living with someone else. The man on the left, on the other hand, seems to be living on his own. How can you move just one match to make this equation correct? There are actually 3 ways to solve this puzzle. Either you make it look this way, or it can be 8 minus 3 equals 5. Or you can remove this match and get this. Now this is truly puzzling. 2 plus 2 equals fish. 3 plus 3 equals 8. 7 plus 7 equals a triangle. What does it mean? And how is it possible? The answer lies in the shape of these numbers. 2 and 2 turned this way indeed looks like a fish. 3 and 3 create a pretty 8. And 7 and 7 do look like a triangle, right? Use just 3 of these balls to get 30. A tiny hint, you may need to think outside the box and get creative. Just rotate this 9 and you'll get 6. And then 13 plus 11 plus 6 is indeed 30. Look at these people attentively. One of them sneaked out of the house some time ago and has just returned. Now they're pretending to be sleeping, but we know better, right? So who's the rule breaker? It's this girl with red hair. She's still wearing her shoes and they look wet. Maybe it's raining outside. Now this picture has lots of tiny details and it's going to be challenging to find the odd Grinch here. Can you do it? It's this one. Look, he's missing his fluffy headphones. And now, how about we train your detective skills? Larry's granddad was a wealthy man who loved playing pranks on his relatives. That's why when he passed away, no one could find his will. But one day, 5 years later, Larry was looking through some old papers. Suddenly, his breath caught in his throat. The document he was holding was his granddad's will. It read, "I hid all my money and other valuables at 2 p.m. sharp under my favorite cherry tree, right where its shadow ends. The one who digs it out will be my heir." Larry was going to be rich. He drove to his granddad's villa and found the cherry tree. He waited for an hour till 2 p.m. and started to dig. But try as he might, his efforts didn't pay off. Confused and upset, he had to return home. Why didn't he find anything? It's been several years since the granddad hid his valuables. The tree has grown taller, and its shadow has become longer too. James disappeared after going hiking with his friend Matthew. In a couple of days, the police found Matthew tottering along the highway. When they picked the man up, he told the officers James had gotten into a swamp and hadn't managed to get out. Unfortunately, Matthew could do nothing to save him. After listening to the man's story, the police officers arrested him. Why? Just look at this guy, in a white t-shirt, cleanly shaven. How is it possible after several days in the forest? A man living in a small village in the mountains got his goat stolen. He was sure one of his neighbors was behind this crime. The head of the village invited 4 suspects and said, "I'm going to give each of you a magic trick. Bring them to me in the morning. By that time, the thief's stick will have grown by 5 inches." The next day, the head of the village examined the suspects' sticks. He immediately knew who had taken the goat. How? The thief's stick was 5 inches shorter than those of the rest. He had broken it, expecting it to grow longer during the night. Two best friends, Jack and Tyler, went to a tropical island to surf and have some rest. After an active day at the sea, they bought a large watermelon and ate it. In an hour or so, Tyler felt unwell and lost consciousness. Luckily, he was taken to a hospital in time. The doctors managed to save his life. But both guys ate the same watermelon. Tyler didn't have any kind of allergy. Then how come Jack was perfectly fine? Jack didn't eat watermelon seeds, and Tyler did. Whatever substance poisoned him was in the seeds. Every day, Mark rides his bike to the railway station to get to the college. There are 2 stops near his home. One is a mile away from his house, and the other is 2 miles away in the opposite direction. In the morning, he always gets on the train at the first stop, and in the afternoon, he gets off at the second. Why? Mark's home and the stations are on the hill, and this method allows the guy to ride his bike downhill without any effort. An inventor created a time machine. He packed enough food, water, and other necessities and was ready to test his invention. He set the timer to go 500 years back into the past. He was about to press the start button when a thought came to his mind. He took the time machine and his supplies and went downstairs. Why? This way, he'll avoid a nasty fall. Multi-story buildings weren't common 5 centuries ago.
Imagine you are being interviewed for a job opening at one of the world's largest companies. I'm talking about Google, Microsoft, or even Elon Musk's SpaceX. But to get your dream job, you have to pass a very tricky entry exam. I've gathered some of the questions that are actually used in these tests, so put on your thinking hat and don't settle for less than 100%. Good luck. We'll start out easy. The first riddle you need to solve is the 2-jug riddle. Here's the drill. Your mother asks you to measure 4 cups of orange juice using 2 jugs. The thing is, you have a 20-cup jug and a 36-cup jug. How can you do it? You need to start by pouring the orange juice into the smaller jug. Then, pour all the juice from that jug into the 36-cup jug. This way, the empty space from the big jug would give you 16 cups. After doing that, you can fill the 20-cup jug using more fresh juice and pour that liquid into the 36-cup jug. This way, you'll fill the entire 36-cup jug. And what is left in the smaller jug is the 4 cups of juice your mom asked for. Clever, huh? Moving on to the second round. Say your room has 3 switches, and one of these switches is for the fan in the room next door. You cannot see whether the fan is on or off unless you come out of your room. Got that? Okay, so I need you to figure out what's the minimum amount of times you need to go inside the room next door to identify the correct switch that turns on the fan. This is a little bit tricky, but here's the solution. The minimum amount of times you can go inside the room next door and still figure out the answer is 1. Imagine you turned on the first switch in your bedroom and left it on for a bit. As soon as you turn it off, you quickly turn on the second switch and run to the room next door. If the fan is rotating slowly and is about to stop, that means that the first switch is the one that controls the fan. If the fan is running, then the second switch is the correct one. And if the fan isn't moving at all, then it was the third switch all along. Did you manage to crack this one? Hey, nobody said this was going to be easy. It's a mock job interview for a top-notch company after all. The third round is even trickier than the one before. An interviewer might ask you to solve this riddle to understand your pattern-finding capabilities. Let's say you were asked to watch a 6-lane car track for the day. Your job is to spot the 4 fastest cars out of 36. How many races would you conduct to find that out? Here's what you could do. Conduct 6 different car races, grouping 6 cars per race. After you determine the winner of each of these races, you conduct another race with the 6 finalists. The winner of this race will be determined as the fastest vehicle of all. Then just place the second, third, and fourth cars according to how they performed in the last race. By the end of 7 races, you'll have figured out the 4 fastest cars out of 36. Good for you if you figured this one out. For this next riddle, you need to think logically and mathematically. A queen needs to hire a worker for 7 days to do a job for her. The queen pays in gold bars, but she must pay the worker every day at the end of his shift. If the queen is only able to make a maximum of 2 cuts in the gold bar, how can she pay the worker the correct amount of 1/7 of the gold bar at the end of each shift? Let's see how this can work out. The queen makes 2 cuts in the bar, dividing it into 3 pieces. The first piece is 1/7 of the bar, the second piece is 2/7 of the bar, and the third one is 4/7 of the bar. After the first day of work, the queen gives the worker 1/7 of the bar as payment. On the next day, she gives him 2/7 of the bar, and asks for the 1/7 piece in return. At the end of the third day, she gives the worker the smallest piece again. This way, he has a total of 3/7 of the gold bar on his hands. Then, after the fourth day, the queen takes away the first 2 pieces and gives the man 4/7 of the bar. At the end of day 5, she gives the worker 1/7 of the bar again. And at the end of day 6, she gives the worker 2/7 of the bar and gets the 1/7 piece back. On day 7, she pays him with the final 1/7 piece, and the deal is completed. Ready for the last round of the first level? If you've answered everything correctly so far, I dare to say you are a part of a very special group of people. Good luck with this next one. It will determine whether you'll move on to the second level. 2 buses are driving toward each other at a speed of 40 miles per hour. They're separated by a distance of 40 miles. A bird is flying to and fro, landing on bus 1 and then on bus 2 at a speed of 50 miles per hour. By the time the buses come across each other, how many miles will the little bird have flown? Math lovers, this one's for you. The first thing we need to find out is the time it would take for the buses to meet. To find that out, we should divide the distance between the buses by the combined speed of both vehicles. If they're both driving at 40 miles per hour, then their combined speed is 80 miles per hour. Since the distance between them is 40 miles, we divide 40 by 80. This will give us 0.5 hours or 30 minutes. To figure out the total distance traveled by the bird, we multiply the speed of the bird by the time it will take the buses to meet. And this would give us 50 times 0.5, so the correct answer is 25 miles. Phew, I'm tired just thinking of that little bird flying all those miles. Hey, if you've aced this test so far, congratulations. You've just unlocked level 2. The riddles will get more and more difficult, so keep your mind sharp. A tortoise is currently at the bottom of a 210 feet hill and is trying to reach the top. Every hour, the tortoise climbs 15 feet and slips down 1 foot. How long will it take the tortoise to reach the top of the hill? Here's the thinking behind this riddle. Every hour, our tortoise buddy climbs a total of 14 feet, right? Since it climbs 15 and slides down 1 foot. According to this, it will take the tortoise 15 hours to get to the top of that cliff, since 15 multiplied by 14 equals 210. This wasn't too bad, huh? Questions such as these ones allow interviewers to test your problem-solving abilities regarding numbers. You know, if you want to work at a space company, you should probably be very, and I mean very, good with numbers. This next riddle is one of Elon Musk's personal favorites. It's short, yet complicated. If anyone here dreams of becoming an employee at SpaceX, you better get this one right. Imagine you're standing on the surface of Earth. You walk 1 mile south, 1 mile west, and 1 mile north. You end up exactly where you started. Where are you? If you answered the North Pole, then you got it right. But the riddle doesn't stop here. If you weren't at the North Pole, where else could you be given the exact same instructions? Yup, the South Pole. Here's how this works. This riddle presumes that the world is a perfect sphere. And if that were the case, the only place where you could walk 1 mile south, west, and north, and end up in the same place is at one of the poles. Got it? To get to level 3, you have to answer this riddle correctly. There are 2 strings in a room. All you know is that each string takes exactly 1 hour to burn. Your task is to time exactly 45 minutes, using the strings as your only source to find out the time. How can you do it? Here's how it goes. You should light both ends of the first string and one end of the second string. In 30 minutes, the first string would have burnt completely because it's burning twice as fast with both ends on fire. Then, you should light the second end of the second string. The second string would still have 30 minutes left to burn, but by lighting its other end, the rope will burn twice as fast, aka in 15 minutes. Voila! You've timed 45 minutes without the help of any clock whatsoever. Hey, smarty pants! You've just made it to level 3. If I were the interviewer, I would probably give you the job already. But just for the sake of it, be sure to answer everything correctly, okay? These final questions are way more job-specific. As all questions in this video, they were used in real job interviews. So we're basically training you to ace your interviews. For example, if you were applying for a position at JP Morgan, this is the type of question you would have to answer. How many streetlights are there in New York City? Can you figure out the number before the time runs out? As impossible as this might sound to guess the answer without a Google search, what JP Morgan wants to test is your estimating abilities. Here's the logic. New York City boroughs have an ordered urban grid, so your first task would be to estimate the number of horizontal and vertical blocks in each borough. Then, estimate the number of streetlights each block may have. Multiply that number by 5 since New York City is made out of 5 boroughs. And then you'll have your number. If it's somewhere close to 300,000, then you got it right. If you were applying for a position at a healthcare company, you'd be faced with this fruity riddle. An apple costs 40 cents, a banana costs 60 cents, and a grapefruit costs 80 cents. How much does a pear cost? Yikes. I had to read it a few times before getting any idea of what to do with it. The key to answering this riddle is to focus on the vowels. If you charge 20 cents per vowel, the 2-vowel word apple will cost 40 cents. By this same logic, the 3-vowel banana will cost 60 cents, and the 4-vowel grapefruit will be 80 cents. In this scenario, a pear will cost 40 cents, and that's your answer. You've made it to the end of this test. Check your armpits. If you're sweating, that probably means you've done a very good job. To finish off, here's an interesting question a tech company asks their interviewees. How would you describe the internet to someone who has just woken up from a 30-year coma? Different from all the other questions, this one has no right or wrong answer. You might try to compare it with something that existed 30 years ago, for example. Or you might just go into Spielberg mode and describe this near sci-fi world we are living in nowadays. Either way, I hope you've got the job. Hey Sherlock, I've got a job for you. Are you ready to polish your analytical skills? Great. Here you go.
Yeah.
Once Lily, a real estate agent, was showing a luxurious apartment to a wealthy family. The family liked everything about the apartment, but for one thing. The place had huge floor-to-ceiling windows, and they were worried someone could accidentally break the glass and fall out. Lily really wanted to sell that expensive apartment. That's why she decided to prove that the glass was unbreakable. She ran up to the window and hit it at full speed. The glass indeed didn't break, but Lily fell out of the window and was rushed to a hospital. How could it happen? The glass didn't break, it simply popped out of its frame. One day, Detective Morris decided to have a walk in the park. In the middle of his stroll, he got a call from his assistant. It turned out that a huge pile of plastic on the outskirts of the city had disappeared overnight. The detective rushed there, and guess what? The information was true. But the most bizarre thing? There were no tire tracks or any other marks around the place. But then, how could the thief transport so much plastic without using a vehicle? Suddenly, Detective Morris noticed some weird footmarks. Can you help the man understand who they belong to? Those are definitely not human footprints. They might belong to an animal or some other creature. The case is getting weirder by the minute. Detective Morris was wandering around the city for hours looking for clues. Soon his assistant informed him about the disappearance of yet another pile of plastic. At the crime scene, the detective found the same footmarks. The expert he had asked to examine the photos and samples replied that the footprints didn't match any other in her extensive database. She even suggested that they could belong to an alien. But why would aliens need our plastic? Morris decided to prevent the next crime. He went to the outskirts of the city again and spotted 2 piles of garbage. Look at them attentively. Which one might aliens want to steal? They will definitely go for the pile on the left. There's too much stuff made of iron in the right pile, but aliens are after plastic, so pile on the left it is. Detective Morris decided to catch the aliens red-handed. In an hour or so, the man noticed a spaceship landing not far from the piles of trash. An alien climbed out of the spaceship and transported the pile that contained plastic into the ship. Detective Morris was shocked, but there was no time for panicking. A small door was open in the side of the spaceship. He sneaked inside. He only had some time to look around when a siren started blaring. Oh no! Are they gonna take off? The man rushed back to the door, but it was already locked. Luckily, Morris noticed a math equation on the door. It looked as if it was made out of matchsticks. 5 plus 7 equals 2. But the answer was wrong. By trial and error, the detective understood he could only move one matchstick to make the equation correct. How can he do it? Detective Morris moved this matchstick and got 9 minus 7 equals 2. The door opened, and the man ran for his life. But the main question remained unanswered. Why did aliens need our plastic? Write your ideas in the comments below. Now look at these animals on the screen. A cat, a camel, a cheetah, a chicken, a crocodile, and a pig. Which animal doesn't belong here? The pig is the odd one out. It's the only animal whose name doesn't start with the letter C. Did you get it? Nice job. Look at these 6 glasses. The first 3 are filled with water, while the other 3 are empty. How can you arrange them so that they alternate in a full empty full pattern if you can only move one glass? Pick up the second glass and pour the water into the 5th one. Here you go. Now you have 7 guests at your birthday party. And your task is to figure out how to divide your very round birthday cake into 8 equal pieces by making only 3 cuts. First of all, you need to cut your cake vertically in the middle of the cake to divide it into 2 equal pieces. Repeat the same process, but this time, make a horizontal cut. Now you've got 4 slices. And the final 3rd cut should go laterally across the cake. Voila! You've got 8 equal slices. Look at these bottom lines and try to figure out which of them is the continuation of the top one. It's this line on the left, see? You've been kidnapped by an insane scientist who's going to test his new protective cream on you. After covering you with this lotion, which you absolutely don't trust, he offers you to choose one of the 3 containers he'll then throw you in. One of the containers is filled with radioactive waste. In the second container, there is an acid that can eat even through metal. And the third one is filled with lava from the largest volcano on Earth that erupted a year ago. Which container should you choose? Pick the container with lava. If the volcano erupted a year ago, the lava must be already solid. Look at these prisoners. Can you figure out who came from the future? It's the guy in the middle. Unlike the other 2 men who are dressed like people were in the past, he's wearing modern clothes and cool sneakers. A terrible virus broke free from a laboratory, and now all animals and plants on Earth are mutating at a horrifying speed.
Uh-oh.
You've been trying to find the solution, but instead got trapped in the laboratory where it had all started. There are 3 doors you can escape through, but behind the first one, there is a bunch of aggressive flesh-eating cacti. The second door hides hundreds of venomous bees, and the third door prevents an attack of fire-spitting dragon-like monsters. Which door can lead you to freedom? You can get out of there alive if you choose the first door. Even though the cacti eat flesh, they're still plants and can't move, so you can easily get around them. You're trapped in a room that's steadily getting filled with water coming from a tap in the wall. There are no windows in the room and the door is blocked. You have a mop and a big bucket. What can you do to survive? Yep, you don't have any options in this riddle, so think of your own way to get out of this situation. Your chances to stay alive are much higher than you might think. Just turn off the tap. Nathan came to visit his friend Zachary, who worked in a museum. Look what I've got. A priceless manuscript that was written more than 1,000 years ago. Zachary looked through the manuscript and realized his friend had been fooled. Does anything in this text strike you as strange? King Alfred V ruled the country from 1290 to 1320 before Common Era. If we talk about the dates before the Common Era, they should be in reverse order. The original text would read, King Alfred V ruled the country from 1320 to 1290 before Common Era. A villain has caught you, and now he lets you choose in which cage he will keep you. You can get out of the cage only through the lid in its ceiling. But on top of the first cage, there is a nest of venomous snakes. Boiling water is on top of the second cage. And on top of the third cage, there is a hungry lion. Which cage should you pick to be able to escape when the villain falls asleep? Choose the second cage because the water will eventually evaporate, and you'll get out of the cage without problems. You're locked in a small room without windows and just one door. To get out of there, you need to crack this riddle. 1, 2, 3 equals 5, 3, 2, 1 equals 9, 2, 1, 1 equals 4, 1, 1, 2 equals 3, 1, 3, 2 equals... How fast can you get out of the locked room? The answer lies in the addition of the second and third digits, and the multiplication of the sum by the first digit. Let's take the first equation. 1, 2, 3 equals 5, 2 plus 3 equals 5. 1 times 5 is 5, let's make sure. 3, 2, 1 equals 9. 2 plus 1 equals 3, 3 times 3 is 9. Then the answer we need is again 5. 3 plus 2 equals 5, 1 times 5 is 5. Now, let's check if you can think outside the box. A few rebus puzzles will do the job. Try to figure out this one. Weigh. Progress. It means progress underway. How about this one? Noon. Good. It's good afternoon. Pay attention to the arrangement of the letters. C, L, E, A, N. Do you think you can figure it out? It means clean up. What word or phrase can you see here? Give, 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 give. It stands for forgive. Concentrate. I believe you can crack this puzzle. 1N, 3N, 5N, 7N. This rebus hides odds and ends. Try to figure out this one. Stay 4NCE. It's for instance. Great job! Mr. Carter, a rich man who collected antiques, asked Detective Morris to visit him. When the detective arrived, the collector said, "I've just got a precious statuette, but I need to go away on business for a week, and I'm afraid someone will break into my house." Of course, the statuette is insured, but still. Detective Morris had some other urgent things to do, but he promised to come back in the evening to figure out the solution. But when he arrived several hours later, Mr. Carter was in despair. I drove my sister to the doctor and was away for an hour or so. But when I came back, the statuette was gone. Detective Morris didn't believe the collector. Why? When he left the house in the afternoon, he noticed an apple lying in front of the left part of the gate. It's still there. But for a car to drive through, both parts of the gate have to be open. This means that Mr. Carter lied about leaving his home by car. Several gold bullion bars were stolen from a bank. The police had a few suspects. But when they arrived at the main suspect's house, they realized they had forgotten to bring a warrant. The man told them he wasn't going to allow them to search his house. "Come back with the warrant and we'll talk." An hour later, the police officers came back with the needed documents. They thoroughly searched the house and the garden, but didn't find the gold. Suddenly, one of the officers exclaimed, "I know where he hid the gold. Have you figured it out too?" The gold is in the swimming pool. When the police visited the man for the first time, the level of water in it was much lower. A very famous painting disappeared from a museum. Later, the police managed to find it. But there was a problem. They found not one, but 3 paintings. Only one of them is original. The others are just copies. Can you help the police figure out which the original painting is? It's the one with the brown frame. Take a look. All frames in the museum are made in the same style. You've got accepted to the best school of witchcraft and wizardry. One of the classes you have to attend is about transforming into animals. There are 3 professors who teach this class. Each of them specializes in transforming into a certain animal. Look at your professors and try to figure out what kind of animal each of them turns into. Have you noticed that the first professor has a forked tongue? He must transform into a snake. The second professor has a lion's tail. It must be the animal she transforms into. And the third professor has bear claws. He must turn into a grizzly bear.